Conversations with Nicole. Let's talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about, let's talk about, let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and we are doing a special policy talk with Rocky Hanna, Leon County School Superintendent, and my very special co-host is none other than Attorney Chuck Hobbs. So welcome, Chuck.
Hey, well, I'm glad to be here. It's funny, I'm having a full-on allergy attack here.
Oh,
In October, yes, but I think I've got it squared away. Got all the sneezes out, and looking forward to having this co-hosting this conversation with you this evening with Superintendent Rocky Hanna.
Indeed. So today is the first day of early voting. Do you early vote, Chuck?
I do not. So I'm one of those people who, I don't even want to call it procrastination. I just really like doing it on election day. I just do. There's just something it's just my little tradition. And so I will wait until election day. I'll be there and definitely will exercise my right on behalf, exercising the right that our ancestors could not. So I take that very seriously.
Absolutely. So for those of you who may be new to the platform, this is an interactive live. Your comments, your questions are welcome, but we are going to have what I call a virtual meet and greet with our superintendent of Leon County Schools, Mr. Rocky Hanna, who is up for election. And so I am going to actually allow him to introduce himself to the viewers, and then we're going to jump in with some questions. All right. So y'all welcome Mr. Rocky Hanna.
Hey, Nicole. Hey, Attorney Hobbs. Thank you guys so much for having me as your guest tonight. Chuck, I'm like you. I'm an election day guy myself. So, it's nothing like going there on election day. I know a lot of people now are early voting to try to get rid of the lines. But, man, I tell you what, I'm really excited about the turnout this year. We've had people at the early voting precincts all day long. And my mom, my 83-year-old mother's camped out at the supervisor.
Oh, wow.
4-year-old father is at the courthouse. My wife has been at the Northeast Library, have a team down at B.L. Perry, even kids up on the set and at A&M. And turnout even today was amazing. And that's exciting. I think now, and I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat my entire life. I think there's a lot of energy on the Democratic ticket, starting at the top of the ticket with Vice President Harris. And, again, just an exciting time for sure.
Indeed. So we have Mr. Darrell Jones, the Leon County School Board Member, District 3, on the live. Thank you for being here, Mr. Jones. Also, my classmate from FAMU, freshman class of 88. I appreciate you. All right, well, we're going to jump in, and I want to start out with a question around what has inspired you to get into education and eventually pursue the role of superintendent, and how has your journey shaped your perspective on equity in education?
Yeah, first I want to give a shout out to my dear friend and colleague, Darrell Jones. I've been in this district now 37 years. I've seen school board members come and go. I've never seen someone as engaged as Darrell is about his district, District 3, which is made up of 100% Title I schools. He not only talks the talk, he walks the walk, Nicole. I mean, I'm just honored and proud to work alongside of him, and he holds me accountable each and every day. And I'm not appointed by the school board. I'm appointed by the voters in Tallahassee and Leon County. But I'm just thankful to work alongside Darrell Jones. And so I entered this profession 37 years ago. I was a business major, and my mom told me shortly after the sudden death of my father to get a degree in business. And you can get a good job and raise a family. So I did, like my mama said, I got a degree in business administration, started doing for jobs, and I was just miserable. And my then fiance at the time said, well, Rocky, if you could do anything in the world, what would you like to do? And I said, I'd really like to teach and coach kids. And we were in Atlanta at the time looking for jobs. And she said, well, let's figure out how to do it. Moved back to Tallahassee, went back to night school at Florida State and, to earn my teaching credentials. Took a job as a hall monitor at Leon High School. As the kids called me the skip buster.
The skip buster.
That's where this journey began. But it's couldn't have written a better story. I'm truly blessed. From hall monitor to teacher and coach and dean of students, assistant principal at my alma mater at Leon for a number of years, then divisional director at the district office to learn about operations, and now to finish my career as superintendent. It truly is an honor. I'm born and raised here, wouldn't live anyplace else, and just love our community. I'm married to a school teacher. My wife, Christy, has been teaching 6th grade science for 29 years. Bless her heart. That's her jam, 12-year-olds. And it's just been a great journey. But to your point, I've seen, the good, the bad, and the ugly in our school district. And as I was building a platform to run, one of the things that I noticed was the disparity and the lack of resources in many of our Title I schools, especially those on the South Side. And those schools for many years had gone without. And so one of the first projects we started was a complete $65 million renovation at James S. Rickards High School, coinciding with a $40 million renovation at Fairview Middle School off of Zyla Road. Those schools, unfortunately, for years were neglected. And, brick and mortar do not make a school, but at the end of the day, our children want to feel proud about the schools they attend. And so of that investment now, over the last 8 years, we've invested over $180 million for capital improvements at Title I schools. And I'm really proud of that. As Daryl Jones says often, if you want to see someone's priorities, look at their checkbook. And if you look at our checkbook, you're going to see just that. Significant investments, especially in our Title I schools throughout the district.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Chuck.
Yes, Mr. Superintendent, again, it's always a pleasure to spend some time speaking with you. What I want to ask you is this. The last time that you and I had an opportunity to speak about policy was back during the 2020 race. And the world was a lot different back then. We were in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic that year. Educators across the country, and definitely right here in Leon County, had to, create bricks without straw, so to speak, to make sure that our students received educations as well as the necessary services, from food to other equipment and things of that nature. And there was a lot of flack that was given. There were some people who felt as if, well, maybe we shouldn't have shut the schools down. Maybe we shouldn't have done the quarantining and things of that nature. And you took some criticism for some decisions that you made, but you stood tall and continued to lead to the best of your ability. So what I want to ask you now is, 4 years later, what were some of the challenges back then that you think that you and your administration were able to adequately address, and what are some of the challenges that you experienced that you might feel as if, okay, we're still not where we want to be? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Again, Board Member Jones talks a lot about a legacy and what will you be remembered for. And I think, for better or worse, I was the superintendent during the COVID crisis. And we said from the very beginning, we were going to pick a team. Our team was the CDC and our local pediatricians to help guide us through guide us through that journey from a health perspective. What we accomplished, Chuck and Nicole, during that time, I could not be more proud. Could not be more proud of our administrators, of our teachers that risked their own lives to ensure that our schools were reopened safely, and that we were trying to do the best we could to provide an education for our children while also keeping them safe from this deadly virus. And we saw the impact it had on the Fort Braden community. We lost a 3rd grade student at Canopy Oaks. I mean, it was scary. It was a scary time for all of us. And then midstream, when the governor says that masks don't work, take all the masks off and just throw them in the trash. And we're like, wait a minute, time out. We just finished talking for a year about the importance of masking and social distancing and quarantining and all of those things. you can't just in the blink of an eye say that none of these things work and expect us just to follow a new surgeon general that you appointed. And that's, I think, where the rub started, quite honestly. And it was sad, all really over a piece of cloth, that we were just trying to keep our children safe and keep our employees safe. And we pushed back. I pushed back. The board member Jones, his salary was withheld for a period of time because we said not in Leon County. We are going to do the things we think that we need to do to keep our children safe. And if that meant our careers were in jeopardy, then so be it. But we were not going to have the blood of our children on our hands. And so we stayed the course in Leon County. We pushed back. Coming out of COVID, we've now seen gender identity wars and these attacks leveled against public schools and public school teachers, that teachers are grooming kids and indoctrinating kids. It's a bunch of nonsense. And, I wrote a letter in support of our teachers after the crisis, thanking them for all that they did during that difficult time, and to let them know that we would always have their back. And I made the comment, you do you. Teach and love those kids like you do each and every day. Continue to teach the standards as you see fit as required. And, Moms for Liberty sent a letter to the governor. A lady on the executive board from the Moms for Liberty sent a letter to the governor, launched an investigation, and the rest is history. I was put on probation. I was fined. But it's sad. It's really sad as to all that we did, all that our public school teachers did during that time. And then now to see these continued attacks against our public schools and our public school teachers is simply uncalled for.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Superintendent Hanna.
Yeah. So we have Christique Henry that's joined us. Thank you for being here. And Rod McQueen has also joined us. Thank you for being here. Superintendent, there has been a lot of talk about challenges that Black students face in Leon County. How would you describe the current state of education for Black students? And what do you think are the most pressing issues that need to be addressed?
Yeah, thank you for the question. That's a great question. Going into COVID, our graduation rate in Leon County was 94.5%, fifth highest in the state. And the thing that I was really proud of is our African-American graduation rate at Rickards and at Godby especially was over 91%, was also ranked in the top 5 in the state of Florida. COVID took its toll. Across the state, there were, during the crisis, 55% of students were in school and 45% were at home. In Leon County, however, it was just the inverse. Only 45% of our students were in school and 55% were at home. And it took its toll. And we had, saw a little bit of a dip in our graduation rates. When our kids came back, there were some academic learning loss, especially in the area of mathematics. They were suffering from emotional challenges from being isolated for so long. But I am really proud of the work that our schools have done to get our kids back on track. And, with some of that federal money, we hired academic interventionists in all of our schools. We hired additional social workers in our schools. We have one dedicated social worker now at all high schools. So it's really pushing more resources in to help kids that were dealing not only with academic challenges, but with the emotional challenges coming out of the pandemic as well. And now you're seeing some of the fruits of that labor. For the first time, we have NIMS Middle School received a B grade. Pineville Elementary School was an A. Bond Elementary School on the south side, a B, 1 point from an A. So we still have a lot of work to do. But again, I think we have come a long way post-pandemic to ensuring that academically and socially and emotionally our kids are back on track. But it took its toll, especially on the African-American community. And we have committed resources to, again, address those academic needs and the emotional well-being of our children, especially our African-American kids.
Nice. I love to hear that, especially the emotional needs, because that behavioral health is, something that's near and dear to my heart, especially mental health specifically.
Yeah, so we actually hired additional guidance counselors at all of our elementary schools. And when people think of our school district, they think there's just unlimited resources, right? And that's not the case. We know that there's one pot of money, and there's three things that really pull at that pot of money. One is stuff, what teachers have in the classroom, instructional materials and supplies, the technology, the Chromebooks to provide a high quality education. Two, the salaries of additional staff members. I talked about those social workers, the guidance counselors, the academic interventionists, and we were able to keep over 60% of those positions that were paid for by federal money. We were able to keep in our staffing plan this year. I'm really proud of that. And then the third thing that pulls at our purse strings are salary increases for both our instructional personnel and our non-instructional personnel. And it's just really finding that balance and making at the end of the day, the decisions of what's best for our kids. And when we go to make decisions, whether that's me or members of the school board, that question always comes first. What is best for our students?
Absolutely. All right. So we are about halfway through our conversation. So for those of you who are just tuning in, I am on co-hosting with Attorney Chuck Hobbs. We are talking to our Leon County School Superintendent, Rocky Hanna, who is seeking re-election with our policy talk / virtual meet and greet. Chuck, did you have another question for the superintendent?
Yes, Madam Nicole, I appreciate that. Mr. Superintendent, one of the things that stands out to me, I like you, am a Tallahassee native, grew up on the South Side. And one of the things that strikes out to me is that some legendary Black educators are all in support of your candidacy this go around. I'm thinking of people like Dr. Maggie Lewis Butler. I'm thinking of Dr. Georgia Joy Bowen. I'm thinking both former members of the school board. I'm thinking about current members of the school board like Dr. Marcus Nicholas, and of course, one of my oldest and dearest friends, Mr. Daryl Jones. All of these people are backing you in your candidacy right now, even though your opponent is an African-American male. How does that strike you? In terms of moving forward and any mandate that you have with regards to understanding that there are a number of people in the Black community on the South Side who are standing tall with Rocky Hanna?
So I'm humbled and I'm honored. You know, they've seen my heart. They've seen my work. I said when I first took office that we were going to make significant investments in Title I schools, especially those on the South Side, that our South Side schools would look like our North Side schools. And we delivered on that promise. We said we were going to make significant investments for our children to give them the additional resources they need to set them up for success. And so at the end of the day, Chuck, and I would ask before someone casts their vote, talk to someone that knows me personally, not something you read on social media. And whether it's Miss Lewis Butler or Miss Bowen or Dr. Nicholas or Daryl or Roseanne, they've seen my work, they've seen my heart, and but it makes me really proud that people are able to vote for someone for the right reasons. You know, I'm the Democratic candidate in this race. I was overwhelmed by the amount of support we received from the Democratic Party in the primary, over 80%. And I was up against an African-American candidate who I respect very much, Star Swain, who's a wonderful school leader in the primary. And that's when I really started realizing that people vote for someone because of their heart and because of what they stand for. And whether it's me standing up to the governor and putting my career on the line, I think that spoke volumes to folks to say, you know what, Rocky's going to do what's right. Even if it costs him his career, he's going to stand up and do what's right for our children, especially those who are up against it. And I'm just could not be more proud and honored to have the support of the individuals you named and a number of others, Christy Henry, Talitha Edwards. I mean, I don't want to start naming names, but
too late.
Yeah. Because they've seen, you know, they've seen my work and they've seen, you know, that I made good on the things that I promised I would, and I'll continue to do that. You know, I'm the day I forget what it's like to be a teacher is the day I need to go home and do something different. But it's not just taking care of our teachers; it's our bus drivers, our food service workers, and what we've done to address the salaries for to pay a living wage to our employees. And but there's still more work to be done. Let's be clear. There's still a lot more work to be done, but I'm humbled and honored to have so much support in the Black community.
All right.
Thank you.
So Mr. Hanna, some of your critics have claimed that there's been an overemphasis on district administration, taken away from student and teacher resources. What's your response to that claim, and how have you balanced administrative needs with classroom needs?
Yeah, so back in 2015, when I was building my platform, I saw firsthand what it looked like. I saw administrative overhead, that people were being hired for political reasons instead of going back to that question, what's best for our students? And so made a commitment to eliminate wasteful spending and to push more resources down into our schools and into our classrooms and to salary increases for our employees. And I've been committed to that for the last 8 years. So someone that's come up with a spreadsheet and manipulate it and doctor it is just a bunch of nonsense. When I took office, our district cost centers, or basically the cost of district operations, was about 12% of the total budget. Now it's about 10% of the total budget. So we've actually reduced the district overhead and pushed more resources down into our schools for all the things that we talked about before. We've raised beginning teacher salaries by $11,000. On average, a teacher today makes $1,000 more per month than they did when I took office 8 years ago. Plus our minimum wage increased from $9.34 an hour to $15 an hour. Our bus drivers, food service workers have seen significant pay increases. You know, I'm just trying to keep up with inflation, and we're fighting the best we can. And look, when I started this job, I weighed 180 pounds. I'm down to 160. My wife said, "You can't cut anymore, Rocky. There is no more of your behind that can be cut." I have cut and cut and cut. And because I'm not going to be that guy, we are not going to do things that are at the detriment of our people, and most importantly, the detriment of our children. And I'm proud of the work we've done.
All right. Thank you for that. Chuck?
Yes, sir. Superintendent Hanna, when there are maybe current students in Leon County schools who may be watching this program tonight, and what would be your message to them with regards to, over the next 4 years, what you are prepared to do to make sure that their academic tracks create success for them, not just scholastically now, but into the future? What are your thoughts on that?
First, I want them to know that I am here for them. I said the same thing when I was a teacher, when I was a principal, that I want their experience with our public school system just to be just as positive as it was for me years ago. So, and along those lines, I think another thing that we're really proud of is we've tripled the number of career technical programs we have in our high schools. We've added different pathways for kids that aren't destined to have that traditional track of going to Florida State or A&M or Harvard or Yale or whatever. We named a new director of Lively Technical College. We partnered with Career Source. We went out and partnered with the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, the Capital City Chamber of Commerce, all of our local groups to find out, okay, where are the jobs in our community, and then what skills that our kids need to compete for those jobs. We have entry-level welding programs at 3 high schools, entry-level nursing programs at 3 high schools, an automotive program at Lincoln. We have an EMT program at Godby, a firefighter academy at Leon. It's showing kids all of these alternative paths to a successful future that does not require that traditional 4-year degree. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we worked hard to address kindergarten readiness numbers. Unfortunately, only 50% of our kids, when they get to us, are ready for their K-12 experience, while 50% are not. And those numbers are even more staggering at our Title I schools. So we've started a Littles to Leader program, partnered with Early Learning Coalition, our local hospitals, to meet with young parents and mothers to talk to them about the important role they play as their child's first teacher. So back to your question, Chuck, I think it's our students feeling comfortable to let us know what they need, what we can do to improve things for them. We also send $1 million a year down to our middle schools and high schools to support arts and athletic programs to make sure our kids are getting an enriching experience on top of the academic rigor, that they're giving a chance to participate in things like steel drum and band and being on the football team and a cheerleader. And so we're really proud of what we've done to not only prepare kids academically, but also to meet their other interests along the way.
Thank you.
Mr. Hanna, How have you worked to involve parents and the wider community in the education process, and what role do you see for them in addressing challenges like the achievement gap?
Yeah, I think it's us having partnerships. I mean, we have a district advisory council that we rely on to give us feedback about current practices and how we're doing. We also talk to them about our policies that are up for adoption to get feedback from the district advisory council. And it's parents getting involved in their child's school, to go to the school, the school advisory council meetings, and just knowing that all of our principals, all of our district staff, we're very approachable. We are, and it's also then us going on a listening tour and going to different events and going to community centers and listening to folks to talk to them about, okay, what are we doing well, and what areas do we need to address, or how can we ensure that your child is getting everything they need to set them up for a successful future.
Okay, very good. Chuck, any final questions?
Final question. Yes, Mr. Superintendent, I've always been impressed with some of the work options that are being provided in our schools these days. You mentioned a few: the welding programs, the ENT program, nursing, as well as firefighter. What may be some other initiatives that Leon County citizens can look forward to in the next 4 years? Some things that you have in mind and that you want to see implemented here locally?
Well, we have a number of capital projects going on right now at NIMS, at Griffin, at Hartsfield. So it's finishing those capital projects. Also, it's just continuing to look for alternative paths for our children to have a successful future. Go back to that early learning. That early learning initiative is really important to me. And it's one thing that was really nonpartisan. There's not much that Democrats and Republicans can agree on today. The two things they can agree on is the importance of early learning initiatives and the importance of career technical education. And so we are going to double down on those initiatives. If we can get those kindergarten readiness numbers up to 75 or 80%, that's only going to help with third grade achievement levels, increase graduation rates, increase post-secondary opportunities for kids. Kids are out getting jobs. And then what happens? The crime rate goes down. So to me, it all starts at the beginning of life itself. And I'm proud that we've gotten into that space. And on the other end of the spectrum, working with our kids. This week, we have a thing called WOW, the World of Work, where we partner with Tallahassee State College and Lively Technical College. We'll have 10 worlds there. Over 18 industries will be there. And we're taking over 3,000 ninth graders, 14-year-olds, to show them all of the opportunities there are right here in Tallahassee and in Leon County. And so it's just making sure that we are exposing kids to as many different careers as possible. All of them, unfortunately, are not going to be attorneys. they're not going to be doctors. But there are many, many different paths for a successful future. And we just need to make sure that we're exploring all of our options with our kids, giving their individual needs and individual wants.
Thank you.
I'm glad you mentioned WOW, because I actually will be there serving with Big Bend Habitat under the construction world. So looking forward to it. All right. Well, this has been a robust conversation, Ms. Rocky Hanna. I'm going to give you an opportunity to give some closing remarks and tell folks how they can connect with your campaign.
Yeah. So, Nicole, a strong community have a strong public school system. Whether you're a public school kid, a private school kid, a homeschool kid, no one's going to want to live in a community or move to a community that has a failing public school system. And we don't. Leon County Schools is alive and well, not necessarily because anything I did or the person before me. It's because we have wonderful school leaders like Carmen Connor and Benny Bolden and Delshana Jackson and Maurice Stokes. We rank number 3 in the state, actually, in the number of African-American principals we have in our schools. But we have amazing classroom teachers like my wife, Christy, and 2,000 others to wake up every single day to make a difference in a child's life. So in Leon County Schools, our schools are safe, more safe than ever before. We provide a high quality, enriching and nurturing education, and we're financially stable and secure. And I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, but I think with a final 4 years in office, we can build on those successes and position our school district well for continued success in the years to come. But again, every day it's an honor for me to serve as superintendent, and I wouldn't live any place else. I just wouldn't. And I appreciate this opportunity. You can visit my campaign at rockyhanna.org, learn more about us. We have some highlights there. And I'll just say again, get out and vote. Get out and vote. Without your vote, you don't have a right to say anything if you aren't voting. So please, we started early voting today. So whether it's during early voting or like Chuck and I will do on November 5th, please get out and cast your vote. And I would be honored to have your support. I will not let you down. I will not let this community down. And most importantly, I will not let our children down.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. Again, his information, rockyhanna.org, is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So definitely check out the website and get involved. I want to thank you, Chuck, for being my co-host.
My pleasure. Thank you. And
All right.
God bless Superintendent Hanna.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me tonight.
All right. So you all be on the lookout. Chuck and I will probably have a few more of these policy talks coming up. So stay tuned. Y'all have a great rest of the evening. And like it's already been said, vote, 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 vote. All right. We'll see y'all next time.